Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. The hotel lobby, silver heights it shone beneath the crystal chandeliers. The gleaming marble reflected every step, and the air was perfumed with a subtle blend of precious woods and fresh flowers. The employees, all impeccably dressed, moved with almost choreographed precision. Monica Johnson, 28, stepped out of her black SUV with effortless elegance. Her simple yet sophisticated beige dress contrasted sharply with the ostentatious luxury that surrounded her. She clutched her bag and a folder containing contracts crucial to her project. For her, this trip represented much more than just a reservation. It was an opportunity to propel her company into the elite ranks of tech startups. As she walked towards the entrance, Brandon Carter, the hotel's head security guard, met her gaze. Tall, robust, with a face marked by years of authority and discipline, he sensed a subtle tension. Monica was not threatening, and yet, an archaic prejudice prompted him to judge her instantly. "Madam, you cannot enter." The tone was curt, without explanation. Monica, surprised, frowned. "Excuse me? I have a confirmed reservation for the presidential suite." Brandon burst into a cold, almost cruel laugh. "I don't think a woman like you belongs here. Perhaps you should try a less prestigious hotel." Monica's cheeks flushed red. The other customers looked away, some shocked, others silent. Shame and injustice mingled in a painful knot in her chest. She felt every glance like a weight, every whisper like a blade. "You cannot," she murmured, her voice trembling but controlled. "Get out of here. Now." Without further ado, Brandon blocked her path, physically imposing his dominance. Monica stepped back, clutching her file, aware that she had just been judged not for her skills or character, but for the color of her skin. As she left the hall, the door slammed shut behind her with a sound that echoed like a verdict. Humiliation burned in her mind, but deep down, a spark of determination began to take shape. Because what she didn't yet know was that Brandon would soon discover the real Monica Johnson, and that this day of humiliation would be the beginning of a story where roles would be reversed, and where destiny would reveal itself with devastating irony. The engine of her SUV stalled in the hotel parking lot, but Monica Johnson didn't move immediately. She was still in shock, her hands gripping the steering wheel, the seat back pressed against her chest like a shield against the humiliation she had just suffered. Every detail of the hotel lobby replayed in her mind: Brandon's mocking gaze, the awkward silence of the other guests, the slam of the door that had sounded like a verdict. But alongside the anger, another emotion was emerging: determination. She wasn't going to let that man dictate her life or her success. With a firm gesture, she took out her phone and called the hotel headquarters. "Hello, this is Monica Johnson. I would like to file a complaint regarding an incident that occurred in your lobby." The secretary, caught off guard, carefully noted the information. Monica calmly, but with icy precision, explained what had happened: the unjustified refusal, the public humiliation, and the blatant discrimination. Each word she uttered gave her back a little control. Meanwhile, Brandon Carter returned to the monitoring room, unaware that the complaint had been recorded. He tried to rationalize his behavior: it was just instinctive, a reflex to protect the hotel. But deep down, a little voice whispered to him that it wasn't right. He couldn't help but wonder, why did Monica seem strangely familiar, even though he couldn't place the memory? Later that day, Monica returned to her apartment, her rage barely contained, but also with a plan. She knew her project required contacts, credibility, and above all, visibility. What if this incident, instead of holding her back, became the starting point for demonstrating her strength and integrity to the world? She sat down at her computer, began writing emails to partners, investors, and even some media outlets. She decided that no obstacle, not even the blatant racism of a hotel employee, would prevent her from succeeding. And in the back of her mind, Monica knew that fate wasn't finished playing with Brandon Carter. The man who had humiliated her would soon discover that beneath his vulnerable exterior hid a determined, respected, and influential person. This chapter of her story had just begun, and this time, she would be in control. 2 weeks after the incident, Monica Johnson was walking in the lobby of another prestigious venue, this time for a charity gala organized by Ethan Williams, a billionaire renowned for his philanthropic commitment and discretion. She wore an elegant, simple yet refined midnight blue dress, and her hair was perfectly styled. Monica's gaze was confident, and her aura radiated a self-assurance born of determination and experience. To her surprise, Brandon Carter was there, assigned to event security. When he saw her, his heart skipped a beat. He instinctively tried to avoid her, thinking their last encounter was too embarrassing to repeat. But fate, with its cruel sense of irony, had other plans. Shortly after the evening began, a drunken and aggressive guest caused a scene near the buffet, threatening the other attendees. Brandon reacted quickly and intervened. With a firm but controlled gesture, he calmed the man and escorted him out of the room without any major incident. All eyes turned to him, including Monica's. For the first time, she lived the man behind the arrogant mask. He wasn't just an impulsive security guard, he was capable of composure, courage, and responsibility. Monica felt a conflicting wave of emotion, the resentment she felt toward him mingled with a burgeoning admiration. After the incident, Monica approached him calmly and resolutely. "You're Brandon Carter, aren't you?" Brandon nodded, slightly tense. "Yes, and you are Monica Johnson." "Exactly. We have a bit of history, remember?" Brandon lowered his eyes, aware that he had acted wrongly during their first encounter. "Yes. I'm sorry for what happened at the hotel. I had no right." Monica stared at him intently, weighing her words. "It's not a question of immediate forgiveness. But tonight, I saw that you can act correctly when necessary. That deserves to be acknowledged." This simple acknowledgement, spoken with confidence and dignity, marked the beginning of a subtle but profound change. Brandon began to realize that his prejudices were not only unfair, but had blinded him to an exceptional person. The gala continued, but in a corner of their respective minds, a new dynamic was taking hold: Monica, determined never to be humiliated again, and Brandon, confronted with the truth of his mistakes and the strength of this woman he had misjudged. Fate had just brought them together, and soon their meeting would cause an unexpected turn of events, transforming their relationship irreversibly. A few days after the gala, Monica Johnson reflected on what had happened. The humiliation at the hotel was still fresh in her mind, but she felt that pure anger was no longer enough. She wanted something more powerful: truth and conscience. She picked up her phone and sent a message to Brandon Carter. "Let's meet for lunch. There's something we need to talk about." Brandon received the message and felt a mixture of nervousness and curiosity. He knew this meeting wouldn't be easy. When he arrived at the small cafe Monica had chosen, she was already there, sitting at a table on the terrace, her gaze fixed on the street but attentive to every movement. "Hello, Brandon," she said calmly, gesturing for him to sit down. He sat down, hesitant, the weight of his guilt palpable. "Monica. I don't know what to say." She looked at him intently. "You don't have to say anything to please me. But you must understand the consequences of your behavior. You publicly humiliated me, you judged me based on the color of my skin. You thought you knew better than everyone else." Brandon lowered his head, unable to meet her gaze. A genuine shame began to overwhelm him. I didn't know. I got carried away by I don't know what. It wasn't right, I know that now." Monica took a deep breath. Her voice remained firm but without aggression. "What you need to understand is not just that it was unfair, it's that your prejudices can destroy lives. But what I saw at the gala, you have the capacity to act correctly, to protect, to have a positive impact." Brandon felt something break and rebuild itself inside him at the same time. For the first time, he saw Monica not as someone to judge or humiliate, but as a strong, dignified, and capable person. "Monica, thank you for putting it that way. I want to change, I really do. I want to be a better person." She smiled at him slightly, a mixture of recognition and defiance. "Very well. But words are not enough. Actions will show if you are capable of growing. That lunch marked a turning point. Brandon realized that the humiliation he had inflicted was not a mere incident, but a lesson in his own prejudices and the worth of those he judged. Monica, for her part, strengthened her resolve. She would not only defend herself, but show that dignity and competence know no color or status. Their paths were now intertwined, but the true test was yet to come. Fate would soon confront them with a situation where their mutual respect and inner strength would be put to the test. A few weeks later, the Silver Heights Hotel was organizing an international conference on sustainable development. Monica Johnson had been invited as an external consultant, tasked with overseeing the organization and security of the event, thanks to her impeccable reputation and influential contacts. Brandon Carter, now the hotel's head of security, sat across from her in an office where they were finalizing the last details. The air was thick with tension. The security guard who had humiliated her now found himself in the same position. Forced to collaborate closely with the woman he had once despised. "I suppose we're going to have to work together," said Brandon, his voice slightly hesitant. Monica looked at him calmly, without resentment but with a firmness that commanded respect. "Exactly. But I want to be clear, the past cannot interfere with the present. I expect you to do your job properly." Brandon nodded, knowing that this time, his actions mattered more than his words. During the conference, an incident occurred. An influential guest attempted to bypass security measures to access a restricted area. Brandon intervened swiftly, precisely, and authoritatively, while Monica coordinated the response. Their perfect cooperation impressed not only the guests but also the hotel management. This moment revealed to Brandon that respect and competence had nothing to do with skin color, and that Monica was much more than just a customer. She was a powerful, determined, and trustworthy ally. After the conference, Monica addressed him, a slight smile on her lips. "You demonstrated professionalism today. I see you've learned your lesson." Brandon, visibly moved, replied sincerely. "Yes, Monica. You opened my eyes. I will never be the same again. Thank you." That day, the security guard who had humiliated her stayed by her side, no longer out of obligation but out of respect and loyalty. Their relationship, born in conflict and injustice, had transformed into a solid partnership, based on mutual understanding and redemption. Monica, for her part, had proven that dignity and courage could transform even the most humiliating situations into triumphs. Brandon, meanwhile, had learned that humility and self-reflection could pave the way for genuine personal transformation. The hotel, which had once been the scene of humiliation, now became the symbol of regained respect and a rewritten destiny. The moral of the story: sometimes, adversity and injustice reveal not only inner strength, but also the ability to change those who seemed immutable.